Good day, eh? We are definitely using a strap today, and blocks would be mighty helpful for one particular thing I'd love to teach to them for my friends who do have them at home, or just something that's going to be up a little bit higher for you to place your hand on in a standing pose. Okay, so that said, click pause, get your stuff, come on back to the mat, click play, and find yourself in that upright posture. Don't force yourself into it, right? And don't get rigid. And of course, the other side of that would be being flaccid, I guess, just being kind of limp. So find something in between the two where, yeah, I'm putting in a little bit of effort to find a little bit of height and length, but not every muscle is turned on, nor is it turned on to 100%. Notice if you have extra tension you don't need. Notice the breath. And then quite simply from here, I prefer to keep my eyes closed personally. Right? It helps my brain kind of figure this part out. But you're going to take the crown of your head and just start to draw a figure 8 on the ceiling above you. Really slow, soft, effortless. And go the other direction. There might be a little hiccup there. And that is your neurons having a little gap to move that smoothly, right? To be able to make that transition. So we're going to play a little bit with that. So now go ahead the original direction, and you're going to try to smooth the gaps in between the switching of directions out, right? Try not to have a hiccup as best you can. And if you have one, it's not wrong. It's not bad. You're just observing that it's there. Switch and go the other direction. And again, try to smooth out the hiccups in between. One more time, switch and go the other direction. And last one, switch. Try to smoothly switch and go the other direction. And come on back to center. You can either leave your eyes closed or no. You're going to simply turn your head to the right. And come back to center and turn your head to the left. Back to center. Bring your left hand behind you, right? Palm faces away. Let that help the shoulder roll open and stay high, I'm going to call it. Turn your head to the right. Pause, inhale. With the exhale, let your chin move down towards that right collarbone. Soften the neck in. Let the weight of the head move you in, might be a better way to say that. Inhale the chin up, come back to center, release and switch hands, right? So I use a little pressure into the sacrum to roll this open and keep it open. Turn the head first, neutral position, chin parallel to the floor. And then exhale, let the chin move down towards the collarbone. Let the head have weight. Make the motion smaller if this hurts, of course. And bring the chin up, come back to center. Release the arms down and start to roll your shoulder blades through their widest range of motion, right? Controlled, articulated rotation. So really find your edges. It's not about going fast or doing a lot of them. Go the other direction. Try to smooth out that space where you go. Switch directions, right? We're going to do that again. Switch, go the original direction. Try to smooth out that hiccup that might be in between when you switch. Last one, switch and go the other direction. That's the brain having to communicate, asking the shoulder blades to be another way. It's way more complex than that, of course, but, and then bring them up, a little back and down and soften in. So come onto the ground and have that strap on standby, somewhere where you can grab it. Go ahead and roll yourself down, a little bit of that core control, right? Pushing through the ball mounds of the big toes. That was last week's work. We're going to take some of that footwork into this week's work as well and start to move up the legs and notice how the feet work stabilizes the sacrum. Right knee is going to come in. First, just simply hug it in. Take that right big toe and circle it. And again, smoothing out any hiccups best you can. Switch and go the other direction. And then go ahead and take that strap around the ball mounds of the feet and push that heel up. And notice if you're flattening your low back, try to find a little bit of space, or that what I call often that neutral low back, that neutral pelvis, right? You're in a neutral position, neither tilted nor tucked. As you push that heel up, you're feeling the back of that right leg. And put both straps into the right hand, tee the left arm out. As the right leg moves over to the right, you're going to let the left knee move over to the left, trying to keep the pelvis pretty centered. And breathe. You can bring that elbow down, or no, the right elbow, and reach through that inner right heel and push the ball mount of your right big toe into the strap. Just gives you a surface into which to push, right? And bring that back up. Go ahead and release the strap off of the leg. Keep the leg extended or re-extend. Arms by your side. Point the toe and flex the foot, and point the toes and flex the foot. Keep that going. Bringing it down on 8, 7, 6. Tone that low belly. Find that pelvic floor work, right? Pelvis doesn't move, low back doesn't move. And go ahead and put that foot back on the ground. Bring the left knee in. And first, just hug it in. Say hello. Try to soften, the front of any of the joints here, the hip joints specifically. Take your left big toe and start to draw a circle, widest range of motion you can find. And switch and go the other direction as smoothly as you can. And then take that strap around the ball mounds, push the heel up. And so working from here for a few moments, right? Again, notice what your tendency is. Are you overarching the low back or flattening it? Most of us will flatten it usually, right? So pick that low back off the floor just a little bit. I could say reach your buttocks bones forward. And then put both straps into the left hand, right arm tees out to the right side. And again, push through the ball mount of that left big toe as the left leg goes to the right, as the right knee moves to the right, and keep pushing into that imaginary wall. The strap gives you something which to push into. And breathe from that place, whatever just tried to come out of my mouth, and bring that back up. Release the strap off the leg, but re-extend the heel up, arms by your side. Point the toes and flex the foot. Point the toes and flex the foot. Keep that going. And again, don't let anything change through your pelvis and your low back. On 8, 7, find that pelvic floor work. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Extend both legs out, soften the hips, and just pause here for a moment and notice what you notice in your body. Okay, put your feet on the ground with your knees bent. We're going to lift up into a bridge, right? A few of them. And so you want your knees to be over your ankles in that up position. So bring your arms by the side and just kind of test that out. Push into the heels and lift the hips and adjust the feet if necessary, right? And bring that down. So instead of rolling today, you're lifting the entire T up, right? Obviously not the whole spine because our shoulder blades stay down, but inhale, you're going to lift the hips up and let the low back and that low low thoracic, I'll call it, at the same time. Exhale, bring that down. Keep your thighs moving into an imaginary block, right? AKA keep pressure in the inner edge of the feet. Next time we're going to add on. So go ahead and lift up. You can interlace behind or not, or grab the edges of your mat and roll into a more traditional bridge. And now from there, right, it's not about how high the hips go. Don't worry about lifting the hips, but lift your heels up and then slowly bring your heels back down. So go slow both directions and try to work that, right? So the inhale is going to bring your heels up. You're just going to keep going on your own. Your exhale will bring your heels down. The calves are pretty easy to feel here, right? But hopefully some of y'all are feeling also how every time we lift those heels, we're also contracting our hamstrings, right? Which is a big support system for, along with the glutes for the low back, right? Now leave them up. Bring the left heel down, right heel stays up. Maybe that right knee comes in. Don't let your hips drop. Push the heel up like we just did into that strap, palm onto the big toe, and bring the right foot down. Without your hips moving, you lift the left heel, bring the left knee in, push the left heel up, right? And breathe. Push the bum onto that left big toe and bring the feet down. Bring the spine down, the hips down and the spine, and let those shoulders come out a little bit and just take a moment and just notice what you notice, right? So starting to build heat. We're going to grab the backs of the legs, pardon my yawn, and rock up. Come into hands and knees. Let's do a couple of cat cows just to move that spine a little bit. So chest forward and pull that belly up and round the spine. And that's the pattern. You guys know this. Anyone who follows me on a regular basis, we do a lot of this, so you know this quite well. The one addition I would put in there is what's your foundation? What's on the floor? And can it root down a little bit more, meaning the tops of the feet, maybe ankles, shins, knees, finger pads, right? Not just the heel of the hand. And then come back to center. Now you're going to let your right hip and shoulder move together and look over your right shoulder and come back through center and opposite side, right? So I'm just moving my spine now into a lateral stretch to the right and then a lateral stretch to the left. Come back to center. Now keep rooting your foundation down, especially the lower body, right? The feet, the knees, the ankles, the shins, and start to walk your hands forward. So the hips don't move forward. Hopefully they stay put because you're grounding down so much into the foundation that you have on the ground in the lower body there, right? And hopefully that also helps the low belly tone up so that you have a nice, strong, long, low back, right? And then find as much length as you can in your spine. Take one more breath. And walk your hands back for just a moment, child's pose. You can separate the knees and bring the toes together, or you can just leave the knees in the position they're in. And I'm going to leave my head a little high so you can hear my voice. But, you could bring your forehead to the earth or fist pillows or whatever feels good. Take another breath. Moving into downward facing dog. Stretch your arms out in front of you, straighten them, right? Plant those palms down. Inhale up to hands and knees, curl the toes under, and make your way back into your downward dog. Now we work the hamstrings a little bit, so it might feel really nice to bend one knee and work the other leg towards straight, and just open up the back of those legs in any capacity. Yeah. And then at some point, bend both knees, lengthen the spine, and then let those heels start to reach down. So last week's work, we were up on a blanket with our heels, and we pushed our heels down that blanket so much we lifted the ball mounds of our toes up, or like we could, right? So imagine that happening right now. And then walk your hands back to your feet. You'll end up at the back of your mat. Hands on shins, reach the chest halfway up or forward. Exhale, fold. And inhale, coming all the way up to standing from those feet rooting down so mightily. And exhale, bring the hands down. Now, watch for just a moment. I just want to show you one thing in my body, what I see over and over and over again, and what my hips would do if they had their choice. I just don't let them. I ask them not to, right? Is when we start to fold forward, usually we shift the weight back into our heels and our hips go way back in order to let us fold down. So because we're talking about the distribution of the weight and we're working with the tripod of the feet, right? If we really keep our feet, the weight distributed, right, hopefully our hips move back very little as we fold forward. So that's going to be our practice on the first half sun salutation. You can walk to the top of your mat, but you can also just be where you are. Inhale, reach those arms out and up. So right here, bend the knees a little bit and don't let your hips move back, right? Keep some weight in the ball mounds of the toes. Inhale, chest forward. Exhale, fold. And inhale, coming all the way up. And exhale, bring those arms down. So now we're going to come through a sun salutation A, same work. So now you probably do want to come up to the front of your mat. I'm going to turn this way. I have more room off of the head of this mat than over on that side. Right? So from there, inhale, reach those arms out and up. Again, bend the knees a little bit and don't let your hips move back as you fold out over the legs. Soften the neck for a hot second. Hands on shins, reach the chest forward. And then bend your knees, plant your hands, step your right foot all the way back, and then your left foot all the way back, and come to the top of a push-up. You know you can bring your knees down, right? That is totally an option here. Take an inhale and reach the chest forward, lengthen the spine, heels back, exhale back, downward dog. So I want you to act as if your heels are resisting this motion, meaning they do not want to come forward. They're going to keep reaching back mightily the whole time. So I'm going to inhale my chest forward to come into plank, but my heels reach back, 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 right there, a little bit of resistance. And exhale back, downward facing dog. Now we're going to come down to our bellies, maybe. Inhaling forward, right? You can rock forward on your tippy toes or bring your knees down, bend the elbows, and try to maintain the heels back, chest forward business till you get to the ground. Uncurl your toes, press into the tops of the feet, and inhale up into low cobra. Now, just switch your arms. You keep up with the upper body today, right? Bring those arms back, palms down. Push the palms down to let the shoulders maybe come a little higher. Keep the belly toned up, especially my more flexible friends. Move, zip the legs in. We've been playing with this. As you zip your legs in until your ball mounds of your big toes touch, right? You're going to go ahead and hug your outer ankles, your outer shins, your outer hips, and your outer thighs into this midline. And maybe you lift the toes up, maybe you don't. And breathe. So it's a version of locust pose. And come on down, turn the head one direction, and just soften for a moment. I'm going to put an arm underneath just so that I don't hang up on myself here with my earpiece. You can turn your palms up. And then come back to center. Press the feet down, press the hands down, and lift the upper body up like we just did. Again, zip your legs into each other, tone the belly up, and then maybe the legs lift. Now, if I were talking about the feet, which I am today, make sure your ball mounds and the inner groin move up just as much as the pinky toes. For most of us, the pinky toes will lead, and we start to squish the inner bum, right? And exhale down, turn the head the other way. And again, I'm going to come onto my arms so I don't hang up on you with my little earbuds in. Take another breath. Bring your hands next to your low floating ribs, and then go ahead and inhale, tone that belly up and push the floor away and come up into downward facing dog. And take a breath from there. Inhale, and then go ahead and walk your feet forward towards your hands. Hands on shins, reach the chest forward. Exhale, folding in, and inhale, reach those arms out, come all the way up. And exhale, bring those arms out and down. So let's do one more little series here of standing, and then we will finish our class so that it's not too long of a class today. So stand long ways on your mat, and you're going to make a block tower. I have it on the back of my mat, right? And I'm stacking the blocks on top of each other. We're going to use it as a tool today to find a little something in the upper body, right? And then I'm going to step my right foot just to the outside of that and my left foot all the way back, right? So it's still standing poses. It's your regular thing. We just have the block set up today. So we're going to move in a triangle. So before you do, right, find that you're rooting down into all three corners of both feet, right? If I don't, most of us won't push down through the ball mound of that big toe, that front big toe, the right one. And when we do, we miss the joy of the right hip, right? And then we also often forget, I need to turn my foot out more, I'm realizing, that back outer heel doesn't like to work very much. So if I root down there, hopefully already, right, that movement is coming up into my sacrum and keeping me nice and stable, right, in the low back, in the pelvis. So I'm going to move my right hip back, and then I'm going to bring my left fingertips down. If you need to move that block tower back, move the block tower back, but please use it today if you have it, right? If you don't have it, you would just imagine this happening. You're going to reach your left fingertips up first and then push into that block, right? And when you push into that block, I want you to open that whole front of the chest and even in between the shoulder blades. Now, are your feet still working? All three corners of both feet. Now you can stay on the block today, or now take the weight out of the hand, put it in the feet, and move the hand to the leg. Keeping that right hip in, that left shoulder rolling open, maybe you move down just a little bit into that triangle. Take a breath. And inhale, come all the way up. And turn your toes forward. So now I'm going to take that block set up, And I'm going to set it behind that left, heel slash shin. I have it a little further in than out. Right toes in, whole left foot out, right? And again, if I had my druthers, my hips would love to do this and I would lock out my left knee. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull my kneecaps up for knee protection. I'm going to root down through all three corners of both feet. For me, I have to push more into the ball mound of the left big toe and the outer right heel. Those are the two pieces that work the least usually for most of us, right? And then go ahead and move that left hip back, right? But keep the work of the foot until you get to your block. Reach your right fingertips up. And then from there, again, I want that expanse across your chest and your upper back, right? So really root down, push down into the left hand here. Find you can roll your chest forward, right, towards the front wall or whatever's in front of you. And then from there, you're going to put the weight in the feet now, but transfer that hand back over, right? And lengthen out. But also as you root the feet down, hopefully you start to feel that right side body light up, right? With that extension from heel to crown of head. And inhale, come all the way up. Hands on the hips, turn the toes forward and go ahead and step in for just a moment. And just notice what you notice. Chances are good, but not necessarily. We all have different bodies, that you're feeling the inner groin and maybe that side waist a bit. So just check into that. Okay, we have one more piece, friends. So this time you're going to take one of those blocks, put it on high with the long, or sorry, on low with the long edge facing the long edge of your mat. You're going to put that right foot up on that. And then this one, be very careful as you spread your legs out wide, especially if your mat moves underneath you, right? Like my rug moves, not my mat, but my rug. So I'm going to go nice and slow and I'm just going to kind of heel toe back. And then from there, now we're going to move into warrior two, but with the height of the block, we get two things. We get to bring our leg into a 90 degree with a little more ease or something like that. It doesn't have to be an exact 90. And also with the height, we can find the hamstring work, right? To turn that on a little bit more to find the stability of the pelvis. So inhale the arms out wide. Exhale, bend that right knee in. I need to widen my stance, I'm realizing. Knee over ankle, right? And again, now that we're up on that block and we have the height, try to move more towards a 90, whatever that is for you. I'm not challenging you or pushing you, right? And with the weight in the heel, we can get that a little easier right now. Maybe you feel the hamstrings support you. Now push that outer left back heel down so that thigh turns on. And again, hopefully this area starts to neutralize, I'm going to call it, and find that support system around it, right? So it has a whole support all the way up the whole spine. And straighten the leg a little bit. Again, I'm going to toe heel just to make sure I'm safe because my rug moves a lot, right? You could just simply turn your body, but so I stay facing camera, I'm going to go ahead and just move my block to the left, step up upon it, right? And then really slowly go ahead and move into my full length with my heel further away from me, my toes pointing forward, right? Inhale the arms out wide and bend in. And again, I'm realizing I still need to go a little wider. So my knees over my ankle. And then now that I'm on that the block, I can bend in a little deeper. B, I can put more weight in my heels so my hamstrings turn on and I'm nice and supported, the hip, the outer hip hopefully working. And then work that outer right heel to try to find that right thigh. And then hopefully this sacrum, right, starts to become almost like a keystone in an arch, right? So it's that root to rise principle. And are you breathing? Straighten the leg, toe heel in, and go ahead and step off of that block. Now, if you have time, I'm going to encourage you to lay down, maybe do a windshield wiper and do Shavasana. It's very seldom I don't do Shavasana with you because I think it's really important pose that we do. But in the namesake of time, right, trying to make you a shorter video with feet and hip and stability, sacrum stability, I'm going to go ahead and end my portion of the class here. Namaste, friends. May your sacrums be stable.